When I'm traveling, I like to find Airbnbs because I like to immerse myself in the community and in the culture of where I'm going. Here are four things that I look for when I'm booking an Airbnb: location, price, uniqueness, and bathroom. Yeah, the bathroom. This was my first time going to Savannah, and we went for her birthday, just so that we can enjoy her birthday and that she could experience the beach. Here are a few clips of the Airbnb that I booked in Savannah, Georgia. Take a look. When I first arrived, I was a little bit confused, partially on my part because I didn't read all of the instructions properly, I guess. But I was a little bit confused on how to get to the actual Airbnb. The Airbnb was located in someone's backyard, and I was a little bit confused because there wasn't really a driveway to get back there, and there wasn't like clear signage anywhere of where to go. But at this Airbnb, you actually drive on the grass to get back to the backyard where the Airbnb was. I was a little bit leery because I know people like really cherish their grass. Some people do. They really take good care of their grass. So me driving on it, I was like, should I be doing this? But the people that own the Airbnb, they told me it was perfectly fine. So we drove on the grass and we got back to where the Airbnb was. The neighborhood that this Airbnb was in was really nice. I didn't really go and explore the neighborhood much, but just from the portion of the neighborhood that I was in, it looked really nice. The check-in process was pretty simple. They sent me the code to get in the door ahead of time, and the code worked on the first try to get in. And that was pretty much it. It was a really simple process. There wasn't much more to do, or any hassle that I had to encounter when trying to figure out how to get into the Airbnb. All right, so I showed a couple of clips, but let's really talk about the full space. It's not a big space, but it's really unique. This Airbnb was created in a storage container. So if you've ever seen like a storage container, sometimes they're pulled by 18 wheelers. Just to give you an idea, it was something similar to that. And if you've never seen a storage container converted, this is what it looks like. The shipping container was really unique. It was a different experience, and I'm always looking, like I mentioned previously, when I'm looking to book an Airbnb, I'm looking for unique experiences. I don't want something that's just standard if I can help it. Not every time you can find something super unique, but I thought that this was really unique, so I wanted to try it out. The living room was a couch that was like the living room section, I guess you could call it. Then the bedroom, it was basically like a studio apartment. It was all one giant space, aside from the bathroom, which was separate. But the bathroom was really nice. That was also on my list. Like I said, one of the things I really look for when I'm looking to book an Airbnb is the bathroom. And you're like, what do you mean by bathroom? I just appreciate a really nice walk-in shower that's tiled or done really nicely. Um, that's unique from your standard generic tub shower combo that people put into houses. I like unique experiences. I like walk-in showers. I like a nice aesthetically pleasing bathroom. That's just my thing. I just like a clean, nice looking bathroom. So that was one of the reasons why I did book this place, because it did have a really nice, clean, neat, and aesthetic bathroom. But the entire place was really nice, and as you can see, the living room, the living area, the bed area, and then there was I guess you could say it's a kitchenette. There was nowhere to cook. There was a toaster oven, but nowhere to actually cook, which is not a con in my book because we were only going to be there for a short time and we ate out most of the time, so there was no need for us to cook. So that wasn't a con in my book, but we'll get to all of those pros and cons in a minute. But we didn't really need that for our trip. Let's talk about the pros. The pros of this place, the price was really a great deal for where we were going. Also the location. And I know when I say location, you're like, of course, you're gonna pick a place where you're going to vacation. But I don't mean literally location as far as where we're going. I mean location as in where it is located at our destination, as far as the city or the town or wherever that we're going. This place was ideal because it was in between Savannah and TB Island. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. And TB Island is where the beach is, and it was like basically right in the middle between the two, between TB Island and between Savannah. So you had the ability to go back and forth very easily, and it didn't feel like you had to drive super far. If you wanted to get to the beach, it was a quick trip. If you want to get back to Savannah, it was a really quick trip. And Walmart was like literally 4 minutes, not even like 4 or 3 minutes right down the road. So if you ever needed anything, sometimes people forget things on their trip. It was right down the road. So that was really great. There's a lot of food options. Savannah has tons of food options. If you're not vegan, not vegetarian, I'm vegan. Um, and my wife is vegetarian. So that being said, there are limited options when we travel in general. And that's something that we just plan for, and kind of expect. But if you're just looking for food options, I can't recommend other places because obviously we didn't go. They did have a lot of seafood options. Obviously, you're right there near the ocean. So there's a lot of restaurants that have seafood options if that's your thing. But there were tons of restaurants as we were driving, or just walking through the area. We saw a lot of different restaurants. So like I said, I can't really speak to all of them, but if you're going to Savannah and you want to check out some restaurants, there are a ton of them. So that was a pro. If you're a foodie person and you like seafood, there's a ton of those type of restaurants in the area. This Airbnb is perfect for couples. If you have kids, this is not the Airbnb for you. I mean, I guess if you have like a newborn, a baby, maybe an infant or something like that. But anything more than that, yeah, you're gonna need a bigger space. But if it's just you as a couple, then yes, this is a perfect space for you to travel, vacation. I would definitely recommend this space as a whole. It's more for people who are, like I said, are couples, because two people is really all you need. You can't fit any more than that. And I think it's literally in the description, like it says it's only for two people. So those are the pros of this Airbnb. One of the cons, I guess I could say, is possibly the parking situation. It didn't rain while we were there, but if it did rain, I would be a little weary or leery of driving on there. For one, just getting stuck in the grass and the mud. If it did rain, that's the only thing. And then like your outfit, if you have to walk in the grass to get to the car, if you're going out on a fancy date and like the girl is wearing heels, then that could be an issue if it's raining. Like I said, it never rained when we were there. And that was a great thing. But I just worry like if it did rain or like if it rained really hard that you might get stuck. We have an SUV that is like all-wheel drive. But if someone's there with just like a car, like a small coupe or a small car, then they might have issues when it rains. I can't speak to that fully, like I said, because we never experienced that, but I just imagine just from the past, because I've parked on grass before and when it was wet, it was just difficult. So that's just one thing to know. I don't know if that's truly a con because you may not experience it even if you go, because you may go and it just doesn't rain, but that's just one thing to really note. And I don't know if like these are true cons of the place. The place was basically perfect. Just things that I probably would change about it. Number two thing that I would possibly change is the privacy of the space. The entrance of the Airbnb had glass doors along the front wall of it. If you stood there at those doors, you would literally be able to see the person if they were looking back at you from their house. And that to me was kind of weird. There are curtains that you can close, but what if you want sunlight? And that was the only way to get light into this Airbnb because there it is a shipping container and there are no windows other than the ones that are the glass doors, and they provide a lot of great light, but sometimes it's kind of awkward to me if I'm like trying to just sit there and relax. Maybe I'm sitting on the couch, just relaxing, um, and want to take in that sunlight, but then you just have it in your back of your mind. And I'm not saying that whoever the host of this Airbnb was literally watching us. I don't know, and I'm not saying that they were, but it's just the idea of knowing that someone could because you're literally facing like their back door, and they have a bunch of glass windows and window panes or whatnot, on their back wall of their house or the back wall of their house. So it just feels like in theory you could just be staring back at each other kind of thing. So that's one thing I would change, like if possible, like ideally I would have flipped the Airbnb around where the entrance is also facing away from the house so that if you're trying to take in sunlight, and I know like the direction of the sun and things kind of probably weighed into their idea of why they placed it where they did. I don't know why they did what they did. But if I were to recreate that whole setup from scratch, then I would just move the Airbnb, move the shipping container. To just face the opposite way so that if you're standing at the front door, you don't feel like someone's watching you. If it was flipped the other way, then you would just be looking at the back fence of the backyard. And then after that was just like bush and grass. So that's just one thing. A cheaper option, they did have like barriers, but the barriers were like, let's say if the entrance is here, the barriers were here, so you're still like you're still able to look straight through those barriers. They were only on the sides kind of, but it would have been better if they were like here. And they did have like foliage on these barriers that were there, but I just would have wished that there were more barriers to just create a more sense of privacy for the guests, which was us while we were there. That would be my only two things that I would say. One other thing, and I don't know if this is just a me problem or this is something that could change. And like I said, these aren't really cons per se. These are just, I'm kind of just being nitpicky about myself and how my preferences are, but these aren't necessary cons of the place at all. Just want to make sure that's cleared and clarified. I don't know about you, but I've never had good success with a steamer. Like, just me and steamers just have never worked out, and when I'm trying to iron my clothes, I always use an iron. I just feel like a steamer has never done the job efficiently for me, so I always rely on an iron, and there was no iron in this Airbnb, and I think it possibly could have been for space saving reasons, because usually with an iron you need an ironing board, but there was no iron nor an ironing board. But that's one thing I probably would change if I could about the space itself. Just add an iron for just people who are coming in and need to iron. Maybe they're going on a fancy date, or maybe they're for business and need to iron a suit or whatnot for a business meeting. I don't know, but that's like just my personal opinion. That doesn't distract or take away from the entire place overall. So overall, I enjoyed the space. I really enjoyed the Airbnb. It was really clean. It was really nice. It was a unique experience in a shipping container, which is pretty cool. One other thing that I will note that the host was very, very nice. Sometimes you have hosts that they're not kind or they're just blunt with you, or they just don't have great customer service skills. They're just kind of there for your business. But this individual that hosted this Airbnb, they were really nice. One thing to note, we even left, not on purpose, but we left by mistake some shoes, and I contacted the host and they told me that they would ship the shoes to us. And that alone is just above and beyond, because the host doesn't have to do that for you. They don't have to ship your anything that you leave behind. It was really nice to know that the host would ship our shoes back to us that we left. So I'm gonna leave the link down in the description below. If you want to check out this Airbnb, if you're ever in Savannah, Georgia, I would definitely recommend this Airbnb. If you're ever in that area, click the link down below and you can also book this Airbnb. The host, like I said, was really nice, a really nice person, and the Airbnb itself was really nice. So this has been another video. Thank you all for watching, liking and subscribing, and follow for more videos like this. We travel a lot, and hopefully we can do more videos reviewing Airbnbs in the future, and make a whole playlist out of it, because like I said, we travel a lot and we have done videos about Airbnbs, but probably not this in depth. So if you really like these types of videos and you really want to see more videos about specific Airbnbs that we have been to and what we like and what we don't like about these Airbnbs, then leave a comment down below as well and let us know if you like videos like this. So like I said, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and you already know what I'm about to say. I'm out, I'm out, I'm out. Woo, woo, woo.